Greetings, welcome back to Black Bear News, where we are discussing climate change, abrupt climate change, and things adjacent. Lots of things adjacent in the news right now, but let's start with this story, which is interesting. Definitely, the headline caught my eye for sure. Tens of thousands stranded while attempting to flee Australia fires. Cashless economy collapses as ATMs fail. Supermarket looted. We have no capacity to contain these fires. So, again, ongoing calamity in Australia. And this is from January 2nd, so just a few days ago. Just to get back to the headline, though, this is something that economists and preppers and I guess economic collapse type doomers always talk about having cash or having some other forms of money, liquidity. I'm drinking tea, by the way. I'm not drinking coffee today. Or tonight, anyways. Delicious tea. English tea. It's really good. The economic doomers, like to tell you always have cash on hand. Have other things available to use as money or barter or whatever it is in case you end up in a situation such as this. So, this is the danger of having everything on a card or everything on, numbers in your bank account. It's something as simple as a widespread grid failure or power failure would leave you absolutely destitute and unable to buy things that you need. So, if you have cash, it's a good idea to keep a little bit tucked away somewhere, just in case. Or you can just go a lootin'. I don't know. Rudy tootin'. This is from January 2nd, reprinted from The Guardian. Tens of thousands of people remained stranded on Thursday evening while attempting to flee bushfire-ravaged areas of the southeast Australian coast, having earlier been urged to leave before the return of extreme and dangerous weather conditions. The mass evacuation of communities in New South Wales and Victoria is among the largest ever emergency movements of people in Australia. The numbers fleeing the bushfire crisis remain unclear, but are expected to compare to the 60,000 people who were flown out of Darwin after Cyclone Tracy in 1974. Visitors told to flee a vast evacuation area along the New South Wales coast. South Coast reported sitting in gridlock for up to 10 hours after responding to the order to evacuate. Ouch. And that's definitely where you don't want to be. It's always, that's why when they say evacuate, it's a good idea to just kind of go ahead and go. Or, this is before it gets, to the point at which they're like, okay, now you definitely have to go. If they suggest that you evacuate, I suggest you get yourself a little picnic basket, a few, 1 or 5 gallon cans of gasoline, and kind of just take a little vacation. Even if you just get on the road and go out of town for like a day or two, it's probably better than being caught somewhere in a real bad place. As further outbreaks from fire and sheer weight of traffic blocked escape routes north of Ulladulla and near Cooma in the Snowy Mountains. You see this all the time when they have hurricane evacuations in the U.S. You see it in like Texas or Florida when a hurricane is coming and they're like, all right, everybody. And the highways are absolutely smashed. The Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, urged people to be patient as he again deflected criticism about his government's policies to address the causes of climate change. Is anyone more of a bumbling fool than Scott Morrison? I know you might want to say Trump, but I don't know. Scott Morrison is right up there in the top dipshit club. I know you can have kids in the car and there's anxiety and there's stress and the traffic is not moving quickly, but the best thing to do, the best thing that helps those out there volunteering, out there trying to restore some order to these situations, is for everyone to be patient, Morrison said. On Thursday afternoon, an angry protester told Morrison he should be ashamed of himself and that he had left the country to burn during a tour of the burnt-out town of Cobargo. Authorities in Victoria hold grave fears for 17 people missing across the state and advised anyone who could do so to leave fire-affected places in the East Gippsland area. New South Wales has declared a 7-day state of emergency before extreme conditions, including temperatures exceeding 40 C, return to the south coast, snowy mountains, and the outskirts of Sydney on Friday and Saturday. Evacuation orders were issued to holidaymakers from Batesman Bay to the Victorian border, and people were advised that 2 highway escape routes were opened north to Sydney along the Princes Highway and south via the Monaro Highway, looking back to Canberra through Cooma. But on Thursday evening, both routes were at a standstill as the fire threat lingered, with tailbacks of up to 25 kilometers reported. Or that's how long the traffic backups were. The northern route was blocked from about midday by a bushfire, or a bushfire, however you want to say it. It closed the Princess Highway, not the Princess Highway, but the Princess Highway. Motorists heading north were advised to delay their trip or take shelter at Ulladulla. The road remained closed about 6 p.m. Motorists were reported abandoning their cars or heading to the south. New South Wales Rural Fire Service Commissioner Shane Fitzsimmons said conditions on Saturday were forecast to be worse than those on New Year's Eve. Those fires have spread to the absolute worst case scenario, which typically is not what happens when it plays out on the ground, Fitzsimmons says. Conditions on Saturday are likely to be worse than New Year's Eve, and a lot of those areas in the southeast quadrant of the state have the potential to be impacted very heavily. We have no capacity to contain these fires. The fires are going to do what they are going to do, and people have to get out of that area, New South Wales Rural Fire Service Deputy Commissioner Rob Rogers said. And this is 2 days ago. Thousands flee Australian coastal towns as raging wildfires close in. We kind of talked about this on Thursday. This is what I actually want to get to. Cashless evacuees stealing from shops with ATMs down. Well, there you go. If you can't pay for it with made-up money, then you can just take it. January 2nd, a shopkeeper on the New South Wales South Coast says locals are facing bedlam as hordes of people jam the roads in a bid to escape the path of the bushfires before the weekend, with a state of emergency taking hold from tomorrow in New South Wales and authorities calling on people to leave affected areas. Lawless behavior is reportedly on the rise. A number of towns on the South Coast have been cut off for days and are running out of supplies. They were stealing from the supermarket because they had to feed the family and they had no money, shopkeeper Sue Mazzulli told A Current Affair. People were just panicking, especially the kids. Kids were just really worried. Ms. Mazzulli runs a local shop in Sussex Inlet. She's told visitors to get out of town because they're using up resources the locals will need. You can't access petrol, gas run out, chaos at the supermarket, she said. All the ATMs are down, and the young people these days travel with no money, so they were even more panicked. Yeah. Yes, this is This is called extreme weather collapse. This is what it looks like when extreme weather causes society to collapse. And we've seen it before. We've seen it. It happened with Hurricane Katrina, basically here in the States. We've had some big storms since then, but nothing like the disaster that happened with Katrina. That was just a fail on so many levels. Anyways, I got a new Way Past What the Fuck, which is actually not that new. Unfortunately, I missed the email that this was embedded in, and I didn't see it for days. This is actually from Thursday, December 26th. So about a week ago, or more than a week ago. And I just didn't see the email. Damn it. But this is from Michael Campy, and it's titled The Day After. Thanks for the last and greatest betrayal of the last and greatest of human dreams. And that's from William S. Burroughs. I probably don't need to tell people who read this blog about the orgy that accompanies the holiday season in the U.S. and Europe. As with most things of this magnitude, we don't see the after effects or the devastation caused by a few weeks of celebrating. We do see trees waiting for the trash trucks. What we don't see is the accumulated mass, estimated at 250 tons. The end result of nearly 30 million trees killed just in the U.S. We don't see the estimated 1 million small and large animals killed on the roadways each day. We do see some turkey waste, but not the 10 million animals that were slaughtered to pack the ever-expanding guts of the modern human, or the 3,000 plus tons of turkey packaging. We do see some turkeys waste. We do see the wrapping paper, but not the 25 million tons of excess garbage that is produced between Thanksgiving and Christmas. We do see the pretty lights up around our neighborhood, but remain blissfully unaware that Christmas lights in the U.S. alone consume more energy during the holidays than some poorer nations consume in total energy all year. There is no arguing that we are on the way out because there's no reasoning with a population that consumes on this level. We are doomed, not because of those bad guys who do all the bad stuff that we read about in the news, but because of us. We quite simply will never stop. This season is the most blatant example of why no political party, no dream of salvation, no protest, no savior will ever come to our rescue. We have met the enemy, and he is us. We are our own worst nightmare. We are the creatures we fear and despise, but the chances of ever getting anyone to admit that is as good as a snowball's chance in Australia hell. Australia hell. It's not Australia hail. One hope, and one hope only for salvation, is to become the best person you can and accept with equanimity our imminent demise. The world needs our love. The creatures who inhabit the world need our love, and making each day a day of care for the natural world is the only path to follow through the end. Always good stuff from Michael Campy. I've made a few changes in my life surrounding Christmas. Not the Christmas lights, but I actually am thinking about that next year. I saw these pictures of Luminaria, if you all know what that is. It's like candles inside of a bag filled with sand. And yeah, you can't really just plug those in. It takes a little doing to light those suckers up. But I was thinking it'd be kind of cool to dispense with the Christmas lights and go with like luminarias, and maybe, I don't know, non-lighted Christmas trees. We have a Christmas tree, but it is live. It's alive. It's living. So every Christmas I haul that thing in the house. We put stuff on it, and about today or tomorrow I haul it outside and I give it some water, and it keeps on growing. So I do not partake in the Christmas tree deaths. And we also, I think I mentioned that my family changed it up this year, and we're doing like one gift. Each person gets one gift supplied by one particular person in the family. So we were considering that every person was buying almost everybody in the family a gift, or in the immediate family. So let's say anywhere between 3 and 10 presents from each person for each person. We've chopped down our resource usage or gift giving by about a factor of at least 5. Probably more than that. Probably like a factor of 7. I won't go a factor of 10. And also, these gifts are supposed to be handmade or consumables or secondhand or repurposed items. So greatly reducing our Christmas footprint. That's how you do it, just little by little, just a couple of tips. Probably most people are already doing this stuff, so I'm preaching to the choir. But if anybody's watching this and they're wondering how to lower their carbon footprint or the Christmas footprint, those are the ways that I try to do it. And you don't even need to get a live Christmas tree. You can just have a Christmas plant or a Christmas bush or something like that. You know what I mean? So many things can take the place of actual Christmas trees. Lastly, in this video, of course, this is big news, but already almost old news. We meaning the U.S. or the Trump administration, we being Americans, we carried out a drone strike on Iranian General Qasem Soleimani. And this is big news, of course. And many people are worried that this is going to escalate tensions with Iran and possibly be a catalyst for us entering yet another war. Iran's ambassador to the United Nations said Saturday the response for a military action is military action as fears grew that a U.S. airstrike that killed the head of Tehran's elite Quds force and mastermind of its security and intelligence strategy will draw Washington and the Middle East region into a broader military conflict. Iran has already vowed an unspecified harsh retaliation for the killing of Qasem Soleimani near the Iraqi capital's international airport on Thursday. President Donald Trump said he ordered the strike to prevent a conflict with Iran because Soleimani was plotting attacks that endangered American troops and officials. He was plotting, so we had to kill him. And yeah, I heard somebody today liken that to the reason why we went into Iraq. Why the Iraq war started was because of potential threats. We think that they might be a threat, so let's go ahead and preemptively get into war with them. The next sentence is no evidence was provided for the plotting of attacks and endangering American troops. An analyst said because Iran can't match the U.S. military's strength, its potential targets for revenge range from rocket attacks on U.S. allies such as Israel to sabotaging oil tankers in the Strait of Hormuz, a vital passageway for oil supplies. No doubt this is not a good thing. And fingers crossed that this doesn't escalate on any level. Mike Pompeo was already saying something about wanting to de-escalate tensions. So I'm going to say because he actually said those words out of his mouth on TV that let's hope that that's actually really what they mean. This is just kind of another in a long line of offensive maneuvers by the U.S. against Iran. We tore up the nuclear treaty. We have military bases surrounding Iran. We've done all kinds of, actions against them, saying that, they're threatening us, this little country in the Middle East, which, doesn't have 1/10 of our military might. As usual, as typical, we provoke and then act surprised or angered when somebody has a retaliatory response or even has harsh words. Oh my God, how could you say such a thing? We act in typically narcissistic ways towards countries around the planet, but yeah, this is not a good thing, not on any level. And if you think that Joe Biden wouldn't have done the same thing, you're sadly mistaken. This is, had this been Obama, would have done the same thing. Hillary Clinton would have done the same thing. Why? Because they're all part of the same club. Yeah, this is just something that the U.S. does. I'm not trying to lessen it on any level. This is the same shitty bullshit that we partake in. Administration through administration, this is the stuff that we do around the world, and we have been doing for a long time. It's time for this to stop. But the idea that any old Democrat wouldn't have done the same thing. I'm not saying that Bernie Sanders would not do this, or at least would have. There would have been a long period of thought before something like this was done, and I just wouldn't see this happening. Probably not a Tulsi Gabbard either. And that's also another reason why we need an entirely different kind of government in place, because for as long as I can remember, we have had a military-industrial complex that controls the decisions of most of the presidents that we have. They are under their thumb, and they just do their bidding, and that's that. So let's all hope that this doesn't turn into something much, much worse. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for your eyes, your ears, and your conscience. If you would like to support this channel, you can do so at the links below. Until next time, peace.